The workflow that I want to show here is how you manage the views within your project that you're going to present to other people or create so that people can easily review the project. So what I'm doing is I'm moving back a little bit. I'll just turn this so that it's whatever way I want it to be. I'll drag it into the center. First thing I want to show you is that there are settings under the options that, and it's under this here, interface and viewport controls, that by default in the project are turned off like this. What that means is that if these are turned off, then I'm not able to apply overrides to my view. So with these turned off, which is the normal condition, I'm now going to go back to this view. I'm going to go to the Save Viewports. Oh, let's delete that. I must have put that in there a little while ago. I just want to right click and show you how I created it. Save the viewport, and I'm going to call it camera only. So anytime I click on this in my project, it will take me back to this view. And because I created it without the ability to put any overrides on it, it'll look, the model will be updated from this view, but there are no overrides on the view. Now if I want to put overrides on a view, and I'm going to just move this a little bit so that you can see that it's capturing the camera position that's in this location, but I'm also going to apply overrides to the brick. So before I can apply the overrides, I need to go to the options and make sure that under this interface viewports defaults, I put a check on there. That's me saying that if I choose to hide a selection set in this view, it'll stay hidden because that was checked on at the time that I create the viewport, the Save Viewport. If I choose to change a material in this viewport, or looking say at the outside of the brickwork, if I change it to yellow or blue or red or whatever, and because these are checked on, override material, when I save the viewport, it'll remember that there's an override on this view. This is very like Revit, where Revit, if you look at a floor plan and say you've got furniture with a black pen, and you can actually say, but in this view I want the furniture to be with a green pen. So you can apply graphic overrides, visibility graphic overrides in Revit in kind of the same way as you can here, but here you're having to check it on, whereas in Revit it's just the default that you can apply any overrides. So if I turn that on now, what I'm going to do is go to my my selection sets, and I'm going to pick the exterior brickwork, right? And then moving on to the brickwork here, I'm going to right click and I'm going to say I want an override item. I'm overriding the color, right? And I'll pick a color. Let's say we make it a yellow. Right? So I'm going to click once on the screen just so it changes so you can see it. And now what I'm going to do is over here, I'm going to right click and say save the viewport yellow brick. Okay, so following that same technique, I don't need to rotate this. I'm just rotating it so that it's obvious that it's also saving the camera position. Is that I could come back in here. I've got the override option already switched on. Oops, sorry, here. So if I select the exterior brickwork again and I go override the item, which is the color, and I'll choose a kind of a blue from here, and I'm clicking on the screen just so you can see this before I right click on here and say save the viewport called blue brick. So I've got defaults on here. Now imagine the other thing that I might want to do is say I'm looking at my model here, but looking at my sets, say for that, in fact let me do it this way, is I'm going to look at the selection tree, and where oops, I'm going to pin that so it doesn't disappear on me. I'll drag it out so you can see a bit more of the information. If you see these options here, compact view or standard or properties or sets, if I go to the compact view here and I was to do something like right click on the entire architectural set, I could say down here hide it. Right now, because I have told it to remember the hide or don't hide overrides, then when I come over here, I'm going to create this and say, let's say I call this as the viewport called architecture hidden, something like that. Okay, so I'm able to create those inside my drawing, and what would happen now is that if I go, well, show me the camera view, right, so I saved it now that I'm only seeing the same location as I was, but because I had the checkbox on, it's remembered that the override was that it doesn't show the structure, the architecture. Yellow brick, blue brick, architectural hidden. Right. So camera view, architectural hidden, blue brick, yellow brick, like that, to see my options in here. So let's save this. You might want to, this might be when you're looking at options for your designs and you want people to review it. So you could actually, if you want, you could save this and give it a different name. Instead of calling it the conference center, we're going to call this color options. Right? Save that out here. So now I've got two file sets. One was the conference center, now this one is the color options.